India's timely aid saved Maldives from economic disaster. Nasheed acknowledges support before Modi's high-stakes visit. Government brings new income tax bill to make filing easier. No change in tax rates. Crypto to be treated as undisclosed income. India's GDP growth outlook trimmed slightly by ADB. Strong domestic demand services to support economy in financial year 2026. Namaskar, welcome to HYBIZ TV. I'm Sashira. You are watching Business Talk. As Prime Minister Narendra Modi prepares for his official visit to the Maldives on July 25 to 26, where he will be the chief guest at the country's Independence Day celebrations, a significant acknowledgement has come from former Maldivian President Mohammad Nasheed. Without India, our economy would have collapsed. In a candid conversation with news agency ANI, Nasheed laid bare the economic fragility his country faced during the turbulent years of 2022 to 23 and how New Delhi's swift and strategic assistance prevented a full-blown crisis. His statement, timed just before Modi's high-profile visit, offers a window into the broader geopolitical and economic shifts playing out in South Asia and the Indian Ocean region. The Maldives, renowned globally for its luxury tourism, faced an unprecedented economic shock in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic. With over 60% of its GDP directly or indirectly tied to tourism, the nation's economic engine came to a halt. In 2022 to 23, tourist arrivals dipped sharply, foreign currency reserves plummeted, and the government struggled to meet its external debt obligations, many of which were tied to high-interest infrastructure loans. It was during this volatile phase that India, adhering to its neighborhood first doctrine, extended a helping hand. India's assistance came through multiple channels. Essential commodities like shipments of food grains and petroleum products were delivered under a bilateral agreement. Credit support. New Delhi extended a $250 million line of credit and later rolled out a $500 million infrastructure funding package. Currency swap agreement. The Reserve Bank of India activated a SARC currency swap facility to ease the dollar crunch in Malé. We were running out of dollars. Tourism had stopped and situation was becoming dire. India responded quickly and that made all the difference, Nasheed said. Nasheed's comments are also significant because they come at a time when the Maldives is realigning its foreign policy. While previous governments had oscillated between New Delhi and Beijing, the current leadership appears more inclined toward regional stability and strategic alignment with India. Nasheed, who continues to wield influence as a former president and key political figure, admitted that electoral dynamics had sometimes pushed Maldivian politics towards China. However, he stressed that the country has returned to an India-first orientation, signaling a renewed strategic trust. Nasheed has floated the idea of a formal trade agreement between India and the Maldives, particularly to boost Maldivian exports like fish, a crucial livelihood sector for the islanders. If we can get long-term access to India markets for our fisheries, it would transform our rural economy, he said. India is already one of the largest tourist sources for the Maldives. In 2024, over 3.4 lakh Indian tourists visited the islands, making up nearly 20% of total arrivals. Nasheed believes tapping into Indian markets for trade, medical tourism, education, and tech is the next logical step. India's growing regional influence is not accidental. From Sri Lanka to Bhutan to Nepal and now once again in the Maldives, India has positioned itself as a reliable development partner, especially when countries face economic shocks. In contrast to China's debt diplomacy, India's people first model appears to be winning ground. In Nasheed's words, India is not just rising for itself, it is rising for the region. Its growth lifts its neighbors too. The Indian government has introduced a new income tax bill to make tax laws easier for people to understand. The aim is to simplify the language of the law without changing any tax rates or policies. MP Bijan Jay Panda, chairman of the Finance Select Committee, said the new draft bill has reduced the word count of the Income Tax Act by nearly 50%, from 5 lakh words to 2.5 lakh. He added that the new law uses easily formulas and tables to help taxpayers better understand their obligations. The goal is simplicity. There is no change in tax policy or tax rates, Panda said. On July 21st, Panda presented the Select Committee's report in the Lok Sabha. It recommends major changes in definitions and terms to make them simpler and clearer. The bill was prepared with the help of around 150 income tax department officers who worked more than 60,000 hours on the project. Over 20,000 suggestions were received online from the public. The team also studied tax law reforms in countries like Australia and the UK and reviewed earlier draft bills from 2009 and 2019. The new bill introduced in the Lok Sabha on February 13 has 622 pages and will replace the existing Income Tax Act of 1961. It is expected to be called the Income Tax Act 2025 and may come into force from April 2026. The bill includes new provisions to treat crypto assets as undisclosed income, similar to how unreported cash, gold, or jewelry is handled. This move aims to improve transparency in digital transactions. A new taxpayers' charter has also been added. It will safeguard the rights of taxpayers and make the tax system more transparent and fair. The Asian Development Bank has lowered India's GDP growth forecast for the financial year 2025 to 26 from 6.7% to 6.5%. According to its latest Asian Development Outlook report released on Tuesday, despite the slight cut, ADB said that India will remain one of the fastest growing major economies in the world. The forecast was lower due to uncertainty in global policies and US tariffs, which could affect India's exports and investments. ADB said India's economy is still strong because of high domestic demand, a good monsoon, growth in agriculture and services sectors. A good monsoon is expected to be 6% better than average, which could increase crop production by 4% compared to last year. This would raise rural incomes and boost spending in villages, further supporting the economy. ADB also lowered India's financial year 27 growth forecast from 6.8% to 6.7%, but said the economy remains healthy, helped by growing demand in rural areas and strong services activity. Lower global oil prices, along with government support through tax relief and public investment, will also help economic activity in financial year 26 and financial year 27. The Reserve Bank of India has also revised its financial year 26 growth forecast from 6.7% to 6.5% recently. The RBI reduced the repo rate by 50 basis points to 5.5% as part of a total 100 basis point rate cut since February 2025. The cash reserve ratio was also cut by 100 basis points to 3%, releasing about 2.5 lakh rupees crore into the banking system. ADB said these steps will boost investment, especially if policy uncertainty goes down. The government's financial position is also strong, which supports long-term growth. ADB warned that global trade issues and US import tariffs could hurt India's exports. Global economic growth is expected to slow to 2.3% in 2025, which would be the lowest since the 2008 financial crisis. Other global institutions also gave slightly lower growth forecasts for India. World Bank 6.3% for financial year 26, IMF 6.2% for financial year 26. Despite the downgrade, India's economy remains strong and stable. The finance ministry said the cut is minor and India will continue to be the fastest growing major economy for the next 2 years. Thanks for watching. Keep watching HYBIZ. Namaskar.